So you guys may remember back in 2019, the St. Louis Blues and the Winnipeg Jets faced each other in the first round, and that was during the year where St. Louis went on their 2019 Stanley Cup run. Keep in mind, they were last in the NHL in December, they fired their coach, they bring in Berube, they go on this incredible run, and they're back in the playoffs. This series does have that vibe to it a little bit. I don't want to make Jets fans angry. It has a little bit of that vibe to it, but it is definitely different. The Winnipeg Jets obviously finished with a President's Trophy this past year, and the St. Louis Blues finished in the wild card too. I'm pretty sure when these two teams faced off, I think it might have been a wild card one, and the Jets won the Central and not the league. I'm not 100% sure on that though. Don't at me, but regardless, this is different than a couple of years ago. First off, a look at the Winnipeg Jets with a record of 55, 22, and 4 for 114 points this year. They hold the first spot in the Western Conference. They have a .704 points percentage. They have scored 275 goals and have allowed 190 for the best difference in the NHL. A phenomenal year from the Winnipeg Jets. A season where nobody thought they were going to get to this point, and they proved everybody completely wrong. We thought the Jets were going to be good, but we didn't think they'd be as good as they were in the year prior. This year, they have probably been the most consistent team in the entire National Hockey League the whole way through. They had a 29-7-4 record at home, so they barely lost at home. And again, they have home ice advantage, which again, if you've been watching these previews, it does mean something. They're also 26-15-0 on the road. So they're good at home. They're good on the road. When you're first place in the National Hockey League, you tend to be good at both things. That's what the Jets are. They score an average of 3.37 goals for per game, which I believe is second or third in the NHL. So they are very good at scoring per game. And they allow the least on average, a 2.32. And again, when you have the best goaltender in the National Hockey League, that really does help your numbers there. They have a 28.9 power play percentage, which is first in the NHL. A lot of first place, a lot of firsts in this stat line for the Winnipeg Jets. They have the best power play in the league. It's no surprise, guys, with Connor, Scheifele, Perfetti, Ehlers, all of those guys, not even all on your first line. It's unreal. They have a 79.4 PK percentage, which is ranked 13th. So their PK, a little bit worse than all the other ones, but it's still pretty solid in terms of other teams around the NHL, and it's way better than St. Louis is. Their first half of the year was phenomenal. 27-11-1, the best start in NHL history, and they were first in the NHL at that point. And then in the second half of the year, they only got better. 29-11-3. So they basically had the same amount of regulation losses and a couple more wins attached onto the second half of the year. And again, they were first in the NHL as well during that time. They are just so phenomenal the entire year. It's really been a blessing to watch the Winnipeg Jets. And I've done a couple streams here on the channel about the Jets, and I've talked about them multiple times. They've been on some amazing runs over the last couple of weeks. I believe our first game of the playoffs that we are streaming is the Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm very excited for it. But yeah, the Jets really looking good. The Blues, though, when you look in terms of teams in their second half of the year compared to their first half, the Blues have been unreal since the firing of Jim Montgomery. They actually, under Montgomery, I think they only lost a couple of times. Like the list is pretty short, especially in the second half of the year. They went 44, 30, and 8 for 96 points, and they finished up in the wild card 2 spot. I think if you told us at the point when Bannister was fired that this team was going to break into the playoffs, I don't know if anybody would have believed you. They had a .585 points percentage, and they scored 254 goals and have allowed 233. So again, overall, all of their numbers are pretty good. They changed basically everything in the second half of the year. The first half of the year was terrible for the Blues. It was not good, especially up until the firing. But after Montgomery comes in, everything changes. Not only was there the coaching boost, you saw guys like Cam Fowler come in, who we'll get into here in a little bit, and a couple other guys too, who really helped in the production and the overall just pace with this team. They went 24, 14, and 3 at home, which is a very good home record. They went 20, 16, and 5 on the road. So the road record could be better. I would definitely argue that, but even still, it's still a very good road record for sure. And they're good on both ends of the rink, and I think that's a big thing. They have a 3.05 goals for per game on average, which is up there. It's above, I think it's in the top 10 or just outside of the top 10, so good on the Blues for that. And then they average 2.82 goals against per game. That number was way higher at the beginning of the season, but with the resurgence of Jordan Binnington and Joel Hofer, they have looked good since the second half of the year. You're going to see me refer to that a lot throughout this video. They have a 22.1 power play percentage, which is ranked 16th. They're pretty average in terms of special teams at best, if we're being honest. Their PK 74.3, which is 27th. So they're bottom 5, bottom 6 in terms of power play. It's not pretty. But again, I think that for the Blues, it could be worse. It could definitely be way worse. I do think, though, that as for the Blues, it has gone a little bit better over the last couple of weeks. Their first half of the year, again, as I said, 18, 17, and 4. They're kind of lucky to be above 500 there. They were pretty bad in the first half of the year. They were 18th. They were outside of a playoff spot. Then, in the second half of the year, they go 26, 13, and 4, and they're 14th. Only 13 regulation losses in the second half of the season, and almost 10 more wins than they had in the first half of the year. That is unbelievable. And by the way, 12 of those 26 wins came in a row. And I think that's just crazy to think when you look at the Blues and how good they've just been in the second half of the year. Again, I've said it in a lot of these previews. We're up to the 7th one that I've done. Typically, the teams that are hot heading into the playoffs do well in the playoffs. And I think for Winnipeg, you're doing really good too, but you have to be worried. You have to be at least a little bit worried about what the Blues have been the last couple of weeks. They have been so lights out the entire way through. And if I'm a Jets fan, I'm not full-blown panic, but I am a little bit worried seeing who my opponent is on the other side. But I think the Jets can get it done for sure. So you look at the scores for each team. We'll start out with the Jets. Kyle Connor leading the way, 41 goals, 56 assists for 97 points. Really sucks that Connor could not get to the 100-point mark. Connor had a really good year. There were some people who were saying he could get 50 goals. He didn't get to that, unfortunately, but still had a really good season. I think he proved his worth to the Winnipeg Jets. Mark Scheifele, 39 goals, 48 assists, 87 points. Do you guys remember back in 2023 when they signed those contracts and we went on the Nordcast and we said, I don't know. And ever since then, these deals with both Scheifele and Hellebuck have looked pretty damn good. Scheifele, 90-point score, above a point per game. I think that really does mean something here in terms of the scoring. And I really like the season that Scheifele had, becoming their number one guy, essentially behind Connor. Nikolai Ehlers then, third in scoring, 24 goals, 39 assists, 63 points. Very good second liner, 60-point scorer this year. I think that really does matter. He's been phenomenal this year all the way through. There is that worry if Winnipeg goes out early, Ehlers will be gone. Scott Arniel said many times this year that he doesn't want that to happen, and I don't really think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be terribly shocked if it does happen. So I do want to say that. There's some of that on the line here with Ehlers and his overall contract. Josh Morrissey, 14 goals, 48 assists for 62 points. I think that Morrissey, their number one defenseman's had a phenomenal season. I've really liked how he's played this year, and I've been a big fan of it 100%. Gabe Vilardi, fifth in scoring then, 27 goals, 34 assists for 61 points. Vilardi's had a really good year. The problem is, though, they might not have him for the playoffs. And I'm a little bit worried about that if I'm being completely honest with you guys. I'm a little bit worried about how the Jets are going to do without Gabe Vilardi in the lineup. I really do wonder what it's going to be. But I think he should be back by at least game 2. He might miss the first game just because he's practicing, but he was in a non-contact jersey a couple of days ago. So I do want to tell you guys that to keep that in mind. Other guys in the Jets that I think are worth noting, Cole Perfetti doesn't make the top 5, had 50 points this year. I would like a little more offense out of Perfetti. I think I've said that in many videos this season, but I think Perfetti still all in all is a very good player. And then Neil Pionk as well, 39 points this year, got a big contract extension the other day. I think Pionk's deal, a little bit of an overpay, at least in my opinion, but the cap's going up and he had a kind of a career year and he's going to get money for it. But, I don't know, that much money for a 40-point scorer, 40-point defenseman, I don't know. And he's not the greatest defensively. But again, Chychrun got 9, didn't he? So and he had almost the same amount of points as Pionk. So I think that deal really did not help Neil Pionk and the Jets. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. As for the Blues, you start off with Robert Thomas leading the scoring, 21 goals, 60 assists for 81 points. I think that Thomas really kind of proved his worth this year. Again, he's proven it in years prior, but to the NHL, he really proved it. He's a very, very underrated player that I don't think gets enough recognition. And even still now, like, if he didn't miss those times, he would have been over a point per game. He could have gone up to 90, maybe even 100 points. I just think he's been phenomenal through his time here with the Blues. Jordan Kyrou, 36 goals, 34 assists for 70 points as well. Kyrou, been a great player. I've liked Kyrou for such a long time. 30-goal scorer again, the leading scorer on this team. Dylan Holloway. Man, has this guy been a good acquisition. He was offer sheeted from the Oilers for like $2 million practically. 26 goals, 37 assists for 63 points this year. Look, I don't like to rain down on the Oilers, and I know I have been a little bit recently, and especially throughout the year with Holloway, but it's a damn travesty that they did not bring Holloway back. It really is a travesty. Now, Broberg, who also has been pretty good for the Blues, I can totally understand that, because he would have been like the third-pairing defenseman on Edmonton, and you're not paying a third-pairing defenseman $4 million. I'm sorry, it just isn't how it is. Even with the cap going up, it's not justifiable. But for Holloway, to not match that and see guys like, Skinner and Arvidsson not playing well, and then you see a guy like Warren Fogle too, who I mentioned in my Kings preview, like he's doing really good too. It just does not look good for the Oilers. But going back to the Blues, Holloway has been a terrific move for them. Pavel Buchnevich, 20 goals, 37 assists, 57 points. Buchnevich, a very good second-liner player, is a good guy on both ends of the rink, is a scorer, provide you some offense as well. He's somebody that you really got to watch out for too, because he can be fierce and vicious. And then Braden Shen, the captain, 18 goals, 32 assists for 50 points this season as well. I really do think that Shen is a phenomenal player, and it's really good the Blues did not give up on him at the trade deadline. So let's hope for the best there with Shen heading into these playoffs. Other guys that I want to look at here too, Jake Neighbors had 22 goals, 46 points this year. I think Neighbors really goes under the radar as a very underrated, phenomenal type player. And then Cam Fowler as well. Fowler's been really, really good. I think coming over, he's had one of his best seasons since leaving the Ducks. Man, he's been a really good ad for them this year. Scored the overtime winner in their 10th straight win. We did that commentary. Just some phenomenal stuff. Phenomenal stuff from Fowler and the Blues. Now, the biggest thing that will come down in this series is the goaltending. That is the number one thing that is going to determine this series. And Connor Hellebuyck is probably the biggest thing for Winnipeg. 47, 12, and 3 with a 2-point goals against average and a .915 save percentage. Definitely a make-or-break year for Hellebuyck. If he can go on a run here in the playoffs and become the goaltender that we've seen in the regular season, he's a lock for the Hall of Fame. Not only that, but I think he could get a cup with the Jets. That's really not impossible here at all. And to be honest with you, with the way that Hellebuyck has been playing recently, I think it is possible. Again, like I am a huge fan of him. And I really want him to succeed in the playoffs so badly. And you look at the other guy on the other side, Jordan Binnington, who has had success in the playoffs. And Carter even said on the podcast, it's hard to bet against Jordan Binnington. We're really going to see that here if Hellebuyck is going to be the guy that is better than Binnington in this series. Because if he is the better goaltender, the Jets win. No doubt. And then Eric Comrie to the backup, 9, 10, and 1, a 2.39 and a .914. He's not bad. I mean, he's just, I mean, to be honest with you, he won't see this series. Hellebuyck starting no matter what. But not a bad backup goaltender when he needs to play games. But he basically just sat in the back and chilled the entire season, to be honest with you. And that's what we'll do in the playoffs. And then you look at the Blues side of things, Jordan Binnington leads the way with a 28, 22, and 5 with a 2.69 and a .900. Binnington, you never bet against the guy. You never bet against Jordan Binnington. I mean, before the Four Nations break, he wasn't that great, but after the Four Nations break, he's been just unreal. You saw how he was in the Four Nations. He can easily turn that back on in the playoffs. He proved a lot of people wrong in that Four Nations, including me. I said many times on this channel, on the streams, on the podcast, that I did not have the faith in Binnington to win that Four Nations, and he got it done. So I am not doubting Jordan Binnington here at all. I am not betting on it. And then Joel Hofer, the backup goaltender, 16, 8, and 3, a 2.64 and a .904 as well there for the St. Louis Blues. So a good backup. He's better than Comrie. He's a good backup. I think he has a good chance at the NHL in the future. But at least as of right now, he's the backup. He probably won't play in this series. unless Binnington has a meltdown, which is not impossible either. So, overall, looking at this series, this does feel like a trap series for the Winnipeg Jets. It does. It has that little bit of a feel to it. This is a huge test. And to be honest with you, Carter made a really good point in the podcast. And I think if you guys don't listen to the Nordcast, link in the bio, I recommend it. Carter made a good point saying that this is the first year where the Jets are really expected to win. Like in the year against Vegas, they were the wild card. Did anybody really expect them to win against Vegas? No. Did anybody really expect them to win against the Avalanche? Some people, but no. And then this is the year where the Jets are favored. The Jets are the favored team to win this series. And if they don't, then that's when you ask the questions of, is this team, can they really do it? That's when you ask that question. So that's why in this series, I love how the Blues have played. I love how they've been hot. I'm taking the Jets in 6. I think that it could go 7. I think it could be very difficult for the Jets. But I still think that the Blues are going to lose in this one to Winnipeg in 6 games. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on this preview. Sorry I'm a little bit too fast. I have a lot of things I need to do today, so I need to get this one out very quickly. But thank you guys for watching. If you enjoy, make sure to like the video down below. And please do consider subscribing and join the community we're building here on this channel. We will have playoff streams all through the weekend, all through next week. It's going to be a fun time here on the channel, so be sure to subscribe and join in on all the fun. That is it for me, and I'll see you guys in the next video.